'cause there's a huge thing right now about on the internet where guys just really want to be day traders. There's a huge thing.
Absolutely.
And there's a bunch of fake accounts on the internet that are saying, "Oh, I made this much money. Come and follow me. Copy my thing."
Absolutely.
That is not materially different than betting or prediction markets, right? Started. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the Three Wise Guys podcast. Luke, what was this thing that you were gonna speak on just now?
Well, you use the Scottish whatever UK accents, and I was gonna say like three guys at my company that are like in slightly more senior leadership than me call themselves the lads. But if you think about it, like we should actually be the lads because we're actually Luke, Arya, and Dolapo. Like these guys like names have nothing to do with the terminology of lad, nor are, I guess one of them is British, so maybe that's like why.
Well, I mean, lad's not an acronym.
No, I know, but I'm just saying, like, lad is actually kind of a fitting thing for us, but I can never adopt it because they use it, and I feel like if I were to use it, it's corny. So anyway,
if we were to start doing that, I think we would have to make the entire episode just called the Lad Podcast.
The lads, yeah,
guys, let it go.
The guys, yeah. Anyway,
well, being a wise guy is good enough. Like, you can leave the lads for the Scots and like your older white leaders. There we go.
I actually like lad.
What up, lad?
I think it's
I
endearing.
Like to say it, you have to use an accent. If not,
hey, lad. Yeah, that feels weird.
Yeah, it's
lad.
like
get in, lad.
Like, I don't know. As a black man, I just can't see myself just going around saying.
Say it in a sentence. I want to hear you.
What's this lad on about?
Oh God,
so
that
ugly.
That's what I'm saying.
I don't think that sentence has been used many times in history.
What is this lad on about?
Yeah, it's like I'm just saying. It doesn't.
You're 2 steps away from shooting yourself in the head. That's what it sounds like.
That's terrible. Anyway,
that was depressing.
What's this guy on about? Yeah, you see that works.
Yeah, guy.
Okay. Yeah, what's this? Yeah.
What's this N-word on about?
I've been saying guy recently because I've been watching what's that show? King of Queens.
Okay.
And in it, Kevin James's character, Doug, he says guy a lot. Like, hey guy. Like, guy, that doesn't go there.
Okay, hey guy is a little my guy.
No. It's like guy as like the name, not the pronoun. No pronoun, just like as the noun. As the noun, guy. Like, what up, guy?
Yeah.
What up, guy?
Okay.
Hey, guy.
Interesting.
Anyway,
I'm gonna see if it sticks. I have to see how many dirty looks I get. You're the first one.
That was a dirty.
You're the first one. You're officially the first one. Either everyone else is being nice and they really hate it, or it's actually catching on.
I think one I struggle with that I can't believe is buddy. I can't believe I've become a buddy guy. I remember people say it to me. I'm like, no,
it's too white, man.
You say it.
That's too white.
You say it. Yeah, you say it.
Did you hear? I said that's one I can't believe.
You actually got on.
That I got on. I'm a little embarrassed, and I'll work hard to redeem myself and stop using buddy. But
you know who says buddy a lot? The guy down the corner store around the
he does
around the street.
He does. You see, it's very different when an Asian man uses that word because it's like it's only positive connotations coming out of that word. Like if you hear a white man say the word buddy, like half the context that's being used is like it's one of the most serious fighting words out of a white man.
No, if a white man calls you buddy, he's calling the cops. That's
like
it. Yeah.
Like it's actually,
okay,
you know
buddy.
what? Like when it's
okay, buddy. Yeah. Wait right there, buddy. Wait right. I'm calling the cops, bud.
It's like a fighting word, man. Like, it's actually kind of wild, but
no, the Asian guy is funny because he says it at the end of every sentence. He's like,
"Hey, okay, buddy."
Good morning, buddy. Okay, buddy.
Yeah.
Thank you, buddy.
I don't go to that corner store enough. But he does say,
How do you want to pay, buddy?
He's like a spiritual animal. If I ever did like ayahuasca, I'd want him to appear. Like I feel like he'd bring me lots of peace. Like he'd just be like,
he's my favorite guy who works at that corner store.
Honestly,
my favorite guy.
Obviously, last episode, Arya and I kind of broke the news that we're moving. Like, he's probably the only one I'm gonna miss in our local shops. Like, I'm gonna miss seeing him, honestly.
Yeah.
But speaking of lads, speaking of Europe, and speaking of an event that's actually relevant to my job,
that was three speaking.
We talk a lot about tech.
Sorry, yes.
Let him do it.
We're talking about Europe, and we're talking about.
See, when it happens to Dolapo, he has to throw a fit. But we move on when we're getting interrupted during our transitions. But
I get interrupted during my transitions almost.
Yeah, because they're garbage.
Exactly. That was garbage.
That wasn't that great either. But it's okay. I'm gonna let you have that. You keep going.
Listen, it's the momentum. I
believe in you.
The momentum builds upon the momentum.
Yep.
So anyway, a conference that's happening right now that's quite relevant to my job is the Cannes Lions.
Is it technically a conference?
It's like a it's a conference.
Okay,
like,
fair enough.
What would you? I guess what would you?
No, like just I think it is a conference. I think of it as a conference. Yeah. But I don't know, because it has the name Cannes in front of it. I'm like, oh, it's like a film festival. No, not even the film festival.
That's the only other thing that happens.
Like a media festival or something like that. That's how I was thinking of it. But I think at the end of the day, like functionally, I do think of it as a conference. I guess I was just asking if it's branded as a conference. But anyways, continue.
Funny enough, that's actually like what one of the major talking points about this conference is. It's like over the years, it's kind of become less and less like this like business forward place where people go and like talk a lot of business. It's kind of more of a cultural event, and it's kind of like one of those things where, ironically, like a lot of the owners of like these very large marketing firms are basically like influencers in their own right. We're trying to be influencers. I won't call them influencers for sure, but like they use this event kind of as an opportunity to go and flex, right? Like marketing has, in terms of like, I think the sides of business is one of the sexier sides, right? You get to deal with a lot of like fun partnerships. You get to work with generally things that people see as more fun, like graphic design and these types of elements, right? So it is definitely like a major party event, basically. Like the memes around this entire thing is basically your partners that have done zero work the entire year going and blowing 100 million of your company's budget.
100 million?
On Diplo or something, because you want him to sponsor like your party or some shit. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But that event happened a little while ago. Two things I wanted to kind of chat about as a part of that is just one, influencers. We like them, we hate them, we're trying to beat them. If you can't beat them, join them, kind of thing. But
I guess we are trying to be influencers.
I mean, influencers is just so like really wide and span. No, I think the issue is the connotation around the word influencer, right? Because that's a concept. I guess it's like a celebrity is an influencer, a politician is an influencer.
That's very true.
It's just someone with a big following, right? But like over the years, it's been bastardized because of, I don't know, people like social Charli D'Amelio, for example. You know what I mean?
I think a distinction I wanted to make, because now that you said that makes all the sense, where I believe in the past, influencers had other professions, and influencing was like an emergent property, right? You were a soccer player, but because you're a big soccer player, you're also an influencer for brands. You're an actor, but because you're a big actor, you're also an influencer for brands. You are a professor, or like an intellectual, but because you're popular, you're an influencer for brands. And then I think with social media, what's happened is, to be an influencer, you don't need to have that thing that you're known for that gives you the social license to influence. You can just be into influence from the start. So I think that's...
Now all you need is a dog. You can take videos, people watch it, and you're an influencer.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, I guess we're not trying to be influencers, like in that sense.
Well, we are professionals, and we are wise guys in this rolling rock of a world. And we encourage you to follow us on our journey. Follow along on our journey.
Yeah,
I think like what you said, there was like a good point, because the fact of the matter is, like, influencers are just like a short form for saying influential people, right?
Yes.
And like influential people have always existed, but I think what people understand modern influencers as is like the person on social media with like a ring light and doing like TikTok dances kind of thing. However, I think like that indirectly is like one of the cool trends that has happened with the internet, right? Like when you think about like influential people in the past, it's not that like no one could become an influential person. Like you'd have to be very exceptional at something specifically. And I wouldn't say like current influencers aren't. Maybe the thing that they're exceptional at is social media, right? Like maybe that's like what you can say. But yeah, like now you can actually like become that type of influencer with just, you know, your camera and all that stuff. Whereas in the past, like you'd have to be a very famous soccer player and then you get those brand deals and it may be like you become like a wider celebrity. Yeah.
He didn't know what was in it.
I know. Yeah.
He didn't know what was in it. I was listening to that, but I also saw that happen along the way. So you put like a bunch of lemon juice in mine because I like sour things.
So for those who are not watching this on YouTube, so while I was going on my monologue, Galavo decides to take Arya's iced tea. So I asked the guys if they wanted unsweetened green tea before this. So Arya saw me pouring. I didn't ask Arya because I knew Arya would say no. And Arya was like, "Can I have one?" I was like, "Oh, it's unsweetened." And he was like, "Okay, I don't want one." And I was like, "Do you want me to put lemon juice and simple syrup in yours?" And he was like, "Yes." So that's why Arya's was different than ours. And then when you were pouring it, I was like, "Oh, you're not gonna like this."
Yeah, I didn't know because I was like, if Arya's drinking what I'm drinking, he's definitely not gonna finish.
Yes.
So I was,
So in your head, you're like, "I'm just gonna save this."
yeah, it's like
yeah,
instead of it just being poured, I'm just gonna actually drink this and let him do whatever he wants.
It's gonna get consumed. Yeah.
And anyways, but
That was
sorry,
so good.
continue. You were talking about cans lie because this is really important. I really love this.
I mean, it's really not that important. I think like really what it is in the past, like a Cannes Lions would be like a very like serious conference where like emerging technologies and like you know, potentially like different agencies can even trade clients at these type of events. But nowadays it's like really just kind of like a reason for these agency owners and partners to get together and party is kind of my opinion. Like nothing that is talked about at Cannes Lions is not talked about elsewhere. And I think that's really the reality of it. It's like it's being there that is the vibe and not the information that's unlocked there, because that information is really available. Like the emerging trends, I think the influencer thing we talked about, AEO and GEO is kind of another component.
Well, what's AEO and GEO? What's the GEO? I know AEO is AI.
It's kind of just like different words that people use. I mean, the one GEO is kind of the idea of generative engine optimization. AEO is everywhere, or answer engine optimization, depending on the person you ask. There's like a lot of different terms. There's like LEO, which people call LLM engine optimization. Again, like my perspective on this is like, you talk to anyone like very into the industry, like they have different opinions about this. But again, like I think these are things that people were already aware of. But yeah, I think the main cool thing to just really talk about there is just like, you know, this event happens once a year. These fucking big agencies go and basically drop like hundreds of millions of dollars there. And then that's pretty much it. It happens again the next year.
So is that the first instance of the swear jar?
Are we starting the swear jar?
We didn't announce we're starting it today. Yeah,
No.
But
I don't think that starts until we do our rebrand.
Yeah, I was gonna
that's
say
fine.
until
that was funny.
until we go public. Like I feel like the swear jar isn't going. But like a couple of things to build on what Luke said. So to the first question, how does Cannes Lion brand itself? I'm just gonna read how they describe themselves. Cannes Lion, a 5-day international festival of creativity. It's the
festival.
So they do call it a festival.
Yeah, they call it a festival. It's the largest gathering of the creative marketing community. I only say that because I was like, it is a conference. Luke is absolutely right. Yeah. But knowing your people,
they want to call it a festival.
I knew they would never call it a conference. Like conferences are for like, you know, boring people.
Conferences are for people like us.
Yeah, like literally like niggas who wants to go sell. And like you said, like selling is not I need to stop using the N-word. Selling is you know, it's not necessarily done there anymore. I think the other thing you mentioned about the parties, I don't know, but I listen to podcasts where people talk about going to Cannes. And yeah, like it's all about the parties. And because our biggest tech companies are actually technically marketing companies. So it's all trying to, apparently OpenAI had the biggest party this year. And like,
that's like the big thing nowadays.
Yeah.
It's like which agency and their partner throws like the event that people want to go to.
Well,
right?
you're
Like,
not going to throw the event because the tech companies are going to throw the event. But if your agency and your partner gets invited to the event.
well, that's what it is, right?
Yeah.
So like the tech companies are partnered with the agencies
fair
which carry
enough.
out the experiences,
That's
right?
fair
Like that's
enough.
kind of how it is. But
That's actually.
Do you know who
it's fine.
OpenAI's marketing agency is? Who their
I don't know what their
primary is?
agency of record is, but
Out of
I
curiosity.
believe OpenAI actually has like in-house, and then they just outsource specific things. So
Yeah,
they don't have
I'd
like
imagine.
a directed like agency of
So
record.
they must have thrown that party themselves.
They might have outsourced to like an event where like experience, like they call them experience agencies now for some reason for events. Like they call them.
Of course they do.
Yeah.
Of course.
But yeah.
Gen
Anyway.
Z loves experiences.
Yeah, we love experiences. No, we do.
we love authentic experiences.
There we go. But yeah, just to that, like to your point where I think it was OpenAI this year. Last year it might have been Meta. Apparently in the past, like for like 3 years running, the Google party was the one
Google
to
must
be
be
at.
crazy. Of
course.
Right. So it's just extremely interesting. And I think maybe Luke, like a nuance, because this is something we spoke about on our chat, just about the shift from bigger creators to micro creators, or kind of the trends that you're seeing there. Maybe.
Yeah, I think that's probably one that's a little bit more interesting, where it's something I'm seeing in my work as well, where in the past, like a lot of these brands wanted to just go after the very large influencers, and they honestly didn't really care as much about the results. Like different people who work in marketing will tell you different things. I think to date, like measurement is one of the toughest things in marketing, and influencers is probably the area where that's the hardest actually. Yeah. So it's like because of that, I feel like over time, like whenever something new is introduced, people have shiny object syndrome, right? So they go after the biggest, but over time it kind of like settles somewhere in the middle. So people are starting to realize, like, and you think about it like this, right? Like if you're like a sports drink brand and you partner with, I don't know, like Kevin Hart, let's say, right? Let's say like Kevin Hart's entire audience, maybe like 10 to 20% of those people are interested in sport drinks. That's still like a really big audience because Kevin Hart reaches hundreds of millions to billions of people, right?
Yeah.
But it's going to come with a price tag. What if you could get a person that just has
that 10%?
That 10% of the audience, but maybe that price tag is also a tenth of the price, and that full audience is relevant to you because that influencer is an athlete or is a wellness practitioner, right? Like, so their whole audience is into it. As a business owner, you'd probably be like, oh, I'd rather go with the other one. It's kind of one of those things where, like, I don't know if you guys feel this. We all work in similar levels of consulting. When something's new, someone doesn't really want to hear your opinion about it because they just see a lot of other things, right? So like my approach there, that is kind of like, okay, hey, like I'll do this for you, but like just know this is my opinion. Over time, a year later, they'll be like, oh, hey, I actually want to do this. And you're like, hey, that's interesting. We talked about this a year ago, but you know, like I'm glad you're coming around to this conversation. So it's interesting. Those trends are definitely continuing. And I think if you're, by the way, this is actually like, this is a kind of a plug from my end. If you are a student and you're trying to look and make money, I'm being 100% genuine. This does require a decent amount of work. But in the past, I think like serving was one of the best things to do. Now, I think the best thing to do is to make UGC assets. Yeah. And as someone who like works in the industry, I get like probably 10 to 20 emails like a day from every single one of the emails I think is from the US, by the way. I haven't gotten a Canadian one, which is kind of sad. Because if I got Canadian ones, by the way, like you guys would probably get prioritized for work. But basically all they do is there's popular platforms where you can host all your assets, and people just email brands and they're like, hey, can I make an asset for you to start? Maybe for
when
like,
you say asset, are like videos?
Yeah,
images?
It's like kind of, so UGC is basically like an asset that you make for a brand that you don't post on your page. So when you think about it, the only cost here is your image, which again, you're a nobody, you're not an influencer, right? So it's like not really anything. And then it's your time. Right? Because brands, what they want is they want authentic content. Like when brands try to make content themselves, it usually sucks, right?
Oh, so the user is this random person on the internet. Exactly. And they generate content, and then the brand uses it on their platform. You are not allowed to post that on your own platform.
You can. The brand doesn't. Sometimes the brand will have a very specific like input to be like, no, we don't want you to put it on your.
So UGC is for like NPC influencers essentially.
UGC is cheaper than actual influencer collabs because influencer collabs require collaboration, like coordination. They need to go live on 2 different platforms, etc. UGC is like brands need assets for ads. Brands need assets for social media. Brands need assets for their website. assets are expensive. If you go to an agency and you're like, can you shoot 6 videos for you? They're going to quote you like thousands of dollars. You go to like a UGC creator, they're probably going to cost $500. You know what I mean? But for the UGC creator, it's also worth it because if you ask a university student, hey, would you like to get $500 to make a video that takes you probably less than 30 minutes, right? And you get a free product out of it, whether it's like a pair of shoes or it's like a new thing. And then that's it. You know what I mean? You don't have to commute to a bar to work. You can be in your own house. You get to exercise a level of creativity as well. So these are things that I find very like useful. I want to see if I can find one.
Sorry, so in terms of that value exchange? Because I'm thinking like instead of influencer engagements, like why don't we just do UGC? Like, so when we create the asset and we offer it to the brand, like the brand's just like, hey, thanks. If we like it, we'll use it, and then no value is exchanged, or kind of how does that?
No,
work?
like they'll contract us to make the UGC, and they would give us very specific guidelines, right? So it's like if you're an energy drink brand, you might be like, hey, can you make a UGC asset where you're doing like a get ready with me this morning, and in a part of it, you talk about how your morning routine is drinking this energy drink. You know what I mean?
I've seen a lot of them for like companies that like make like toothbrushes.
Yep.
And they just have like random, nobody is just brushing their teeth. And be like, ooh, look at my clean teeth. You know? Or like teeth whitening and things like that. I see it a lot, actually. I see it a lot. Now that you're mentioning it, it makes a lot of sense.
Okay. Yeah. So those are careers like I guess for young aspiring.
So this is like, but I don't know if we'll put this like actually on.
You can
YouTube,
take a screenshot of it.
But I have like an
out.
example that we're looking at here. Oh, actually, this person I guess
not found 404.
Their portfolio is expired, I guess.
Yeah, you can't do it. You can't do it. Well, I mean, I see the body of the email. Hi, go up. Hi, I hope you're doing well. I'm blank.
And you can see this is written with AI.
It's
right?
written
like,
with AI with the
They
M
probably like
dashes.
automated this entire thing with Claude, like all that stuff.
Hey, you got a response.
And by the way, I'm telling you, like I get pretty much like 5 to 10 of these a week. I almost always like instantly delete them when I see they're from the US.
Is this one Canadian?
This one's from the US as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I ended up like not working with them. But yeah.
No, this is
if you're out there, this is the playbook's fully out there. Look for it on the internet. You can find all of this.
Very cool.
This is very interesting. I mean, speaking of influencers, I feel like fucking Mamdani has turned into one of the biggest.
Politician.
Yeah, I think he's because Trump might have been the first politician to turn like full influencer in terms of the way like he just broke through. Where all of us are doing the YMCA dance, we're doing the.
That'd have been Obama, right?
I was gonna say
Yeah,
Obama had a big run.
Obama had a big run.
Politicians have always been really popular, and they're
with the social media thing. Like,
Yeah,
I'm
like-
not talking about being popular on the evening news. I'm talking becoming a meme.
I'd say Obama as well because he was president when like influencers basically became a thing, right? Like
Yeah,
in
with
that
the Key and
early
Peele
time,
stuff.
and he did book deals and everything like that. You know what I mean? So he was the funny guy, right?
So
He was-
Obama,
Yeah.
Trump. I'm not even trying to
Obama,
argue.
Trump,
Yeah,
Joe Biden.
Joe a meme. I feel like
Joe was a meme,
Joe's a
but he
meme,
wasn't
bro.
trying to be.
Come on.
Kamala's
wasn't trying to-
Kamala's
He wasn't
a
in
meme.
on it.
At this point, I think
we did it, Joe.
I think it.
Bernie was a
He
meme.
did it, Joe.
Bernie was a meme. I am coming to you once again to ask for financial assistance.
I don't even know that.
That was a
You know
good
what
one
I
too. I think it's almost a requirement at this point for a politician to be an
Absolutely.
influencer. Like
Yeah.
it's a baseline requirement of the job at this point.
Yeah, I think so. And I was bringing that up to say like, oh, this one, yes.
Once again,
yes,
asking
that
for your
is-
financial
that is-
support.
Because people will like remove financial support and they'll like, for example, like you can send like a thirst trap and be like, I am once again asking for like, you know what I mean? Like it's like
I'm
a
once
few
again
months.
asking for an e-transfer.
Yeah, like things like that, right? Like,
Oh man.
like you follow up with your friend who hasn't like you transfer you for 3 days.
Yeah,
Send it
that's,
to me, yeah.
that's actually. Can I use that?
You
in
absolutely
sales
can.
emails?
I'm gonna send you one. Be like,
Dude, you should use that as a last ditch attempt in your sales.
Yeah, it's like,
That's actually not bad.
I'm saying I'm once again asking for a signed order form. But yeah, I brought that up to say Zohran Mamdani, man,
Yeah,
been on a
Mamdani.
run like with the Knicks speech
Bro,
that
Nick's
took the
speech was
world
something else.
by storm. I guess he won some primaries. I forget why we even put him in there, but
It's the speech, man.
It was the
that fired
speech.
me up.
It was the speech. I sent you guys the speech on Twitter and or X, sorry, and it was a magical thing. It was honestly a magical thing. The way that he was speaking, you would think he was the owner of the Knicks, or he was a commentator with like 40 years of experience, or he was like the father of one of the players. You know what I mean? The way he was speaking about it, he gave every player, past and present, a personal shout out in this speech. He started naming them one by one, all the way from like the 50s all the way up to today. Like he shouted out, like he even shouted out Melo.
Really?
Yeah, dude. Everybody who has come and gone through the Knicks. He shouted out Jeremy Lin. He even shouted out Yao Ming. Yao Ming got a stint with the Knicks.
I didn't know that.
I don't know.
Okay.
I heard Yao Ming in the speech.
I didn't listen to the whole speech. You clearly did.
I watched the entire because it
watched
was so engaging. It was an 8-minute speech. It's an 8-minute.
I watched
speech.
like I think the last 4 minutes because I don't remember the historic Knicks shout outs. But like this quote I brought up, I don't know, Ari, if you want to read it. This was like the part of the speech I was like where he was like really going in on like the
this I caught. This was at the beginning.
I can't read it. It's in the corner.
Yeah, this is at the beginning.
Yeah, it's in the corner. You're gonna have to switch sides on the screen. What is this?
Yeah, okay.
What is New York if you're not? Wait.
Okay.
What is New York if not
Just
your
give him the
back up
laptop.
against the wall? Why can't you read it, Luke?
Oh, because you have a good
I'm
voice.
trying
Yeah.
to like
This
look
is-
past
this is
the
not
flashing
working.
light.
No,
in my
that
eye.
is an interesting grammar choice, but yeah, I think I see why you were confused there. It does say, "What is New York if not your back up against the wall?"
Yeah.
And who are New Yorkers if not people who hear those odds and smile, who look at 0.4% chance of success and ask, "Why are you giving me a head start?" And like he was like going in and he's like with that's exactly where we want to be. That's exactly where we like start to like do our thing. I don't know. It's just like one of those.
Specifically what he said is like they gave us a 99.6% chance of losing.
Yeah.
That's what they
was
said.
Game 5,
And then
right before the OG and
Yep.
exactly. And then he was like, it's in that 0.4% where New Yorkers go to work. That's what he
Yes.
said.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah,
like,
that
we
was
go to
dope.
work
That
and we do
was-
that. Oh man, like gave me goosebumps. I was
Yeah,
listening
no,
to
that was the
pretty good.
beginning of the speech, and I was like, that's incredible.
was
Like
so
just
good.
the imagery there. So
Yeah.
I don't know
he
if
killed it.
you guys wanted to talk about Mamdani here, but like what I really took away from this speech is like this is like the way this is the reason why like sometimes like girls make fun of guys for like being super into sports and they don't get it. Like it's because sports are not just sports. Like you know what I mean? Like sports are like the community and like the fandom and like the people and how they buy into certain people. Sports are like the athletes and how they overcome adversity and like their stories and how those stories inspire us, right? Like when moments like this happen, like sometimes you're like, why is that guy on the streets of New York like doing this crazy thing, right? It's because the Knicks to him represents like his own struggles or his own battles, or like they show him that there's an ability for him to accomplish those same odds because the people that he buys into can do the same things, right? Like I think that's like what sports represents, and this is definitely going to go down, in my opinion, as like one of these speeches, and it's like not even by a coach.
This is an
It's by the
all-time
mayor.
speech. This is 100% an all-time speech. But like Mamdani is actually an incredible orator. I think that's just what this kind of I didn't know until I listened to this, like how good he actually was.
Yeah.
Because I could see he wasn't reading the entire time. You know, he would like glance at a note or something, but he was looking around at
I
people.
mean, his speech was written.
It was written. No, I'm saying like he practiced it.
Yeah.
He was able to memorize a lot of it, but it was written for sure.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying he internalized that and he spoke it really well. And you know there wasn't like breaks with like there was not like barely any disfluencies in his speech.
I think like the speech was definitely written for him, but he had enough buy-in to it that he could like deliver it like that, right? I think we all know this as people who are like public speakers. Like if you're given a speech and you need to deliver that speech, I will need to read it.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like if someone wrote something for me and I need to deliver it, I'm reading off of it. But like generally when we're talking, like you might digest information and then you just go, right? Like you're not like reading off of something, but
high stakes. High stakes to like do a speech like that and like crush it. Yeah. Honestly.
I actually want to go, like, this has made me maybe want to go watch some of Mamdani's like other speeches, because in high school I was one of those nerds that like really liked like Obama speeches and stuff. You know, like I loved.
I think Obama was like a great.
He was amazing.
Absolutely.
He's the original like GOAT, right?
Yeah,
like,
I think
the
he's
modern
like,
era. Yeah,
the GOAT of
Incredible.
public speech. I think Mamdani, I wouldn't even and I brought him up like in the influencer vein because it's not just the speeches. Like I was like, he went viral for the pied à terre thing when he went.
The
like
tax.
The tax and how he did that. I think I saw recently a video. I don't know, it just came up on my Twitter where he was recording. Like the phone was in the fridge, and he was like recording a video like from, I don't know. It was like, imagine opening like as a viewer, you see someone open a fridge, like a fridge opens and you just see someone's face and he's talking.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa, like what is this? And he's talking about like policies, I think like the rent freezes or one of his new.
He understands social media.
That's what I was saying. Like he fully is an influencer, and I think it's one of those things where being an influencer is not just like being popular or having the following. Like he also has like the innate skill of like, you know, having a speech and being able to deliver one. I said having a speech, being able to deliver a speech exceptionally well, being able to capture an audience, not just with your words, but, you know, just with the way you move. And, you know, sports, you said is going to be, the speech is going to be in history. I totally agree. Not only because it was such an incredible speech, but just because of the occasion, right?
Yeah.
Like it's 50 years. People are going to remember. You know, the Knicks have only won the championship twice. Okay, so people are gonna remember every single time the Knicks won the championship, and they'll remember, hey, the Knicks won.
It'll
the
be compared to this one.
Absolutely, the Knicks won the championship in 2026, and we all put a lot of sports bets on it. And Mamdani, you know, he delivered. So I think it's incredible, and it's I think he's being a good example. I don't know enough about his politics. Obviously, we're capitalists here, and I don't know how we feel about socialism and all of that. And we don't need to go into that, and maybe we do. I don't want to speak about his politics
not today,
here.
but
But I don't want to speak about his politics here, but just speaking about him in terms of being
an influential,
an influential person. I think he's 34. He's not even 35 years old
really
yet.
young. He's on a presidential track. He's on a presidential track, is what he's trying to do. I guess.
I saw an interview on Sunday where they asked him about that because he's not born in the U.S.
Oh, he's not.
Yeah, so he can't be president. And they asked him, "Is it time to start looking into that rule, into the Constitution?" He was like, "Nope, no, it's not."
No, don't ruffle no feathers. He's doing a great job as mayor.
I love. He was like, "I have a lot of work to do with the mayor." And he loves.
That's the right answer.
Yeah, he loves New York as it is now. But I think a fantastic role model, just in terms of like him being able to deliver speeches and be a positive influence for young men, and hopefully kind of counteract some of our little devices. Like, you know, what's funny is like sports betting, huge. I can imagine in that crowd
gambling.
Gambling. Like
Kalshi was like a huge part of the Knicks thing, by the way.
So true. There was
Kalshi was like there was a big scandal with that guy who he was planted.
Yeah, he was Kalshi.
He was planted. Yeah,
was he planted?
He was.
What is this?
By the way,
my bagel's Jewish.
That guy.
He's
planted
by the way,
Kalshi?
I know for a fact he's planted because I actually know the head of marketing at Kalshi. Like, we met at a conference in Queens. I'm not even kidding. I literally know the head of marketing at Kalshi.
And he says he planted the guy.
They planted the guy and the bots. Like, well, the bot, like everyone knew because the bot was branded as Kalshi.
This is crazy.
It was like
they had like multiple different people basically, and they were trying to create these viral moments.
Okay,
like,
I think it was my mayor's Muslim, my bagel's Jewish, my Kristen's Dior.
Something like that.
Yeah,
that was like a playoff. What was that? That Young Jeezy song, like "My President is Black, My Lambo is Blue." That was like when Obama came.
That was when Obama
viral.
came.
Yeah.
And they just remixed it for the Knicks.
Yeah.
But what I was even bringing
was that like who was that?
What the saying? So Shannon Sharp used to come out and say like 2-3 things, and then he'd be like Lakers in 5. So like there's like I think the original cadence came from like it might have come from the Jeezy song. But then Shannon Sharp used to go on TV and say like 3 wild things, and then Lakers in 5, because we all knew the Lakers.
Oh, you're saying this is like the format?
Yeah, like that was the format. You say 3 wild things, and then the 4th wild thing would be about like the Lakers result or the result of a series that we all knew no one was gonna win, and so they took it. I bring that up to say, I can imagine in that crowd at the parade, what, 60-70% men? in that crowd.
They're
80?
all betting. Do you think? Wait,
man.
no, but do you
80 to 90% men, bro.
That's what I was
let me
gonna
ask
say.
both of you guys actually. Do you think they were betting or do you think they were predicting?
Oh, they were
More often than not predicting that.
most of them were betting. Some of them are getting it off by saying they're predicting.
They're predicting. They're predicting.
Yeah. And I'm sure Kalshi's
Kalshi was loving that.
absolutely loving that and helping them.
They love injecting disease into the minds of young men.
Is that how you feel? Tell us how you really feel.
So-
I'll bring this up to say too, because Wealthsimple and Kalshi just entered a partnership to bring betting markets to Canada.
So it's coming from
And you know me, I love Wealthsimple, and I think you love Wealthsimple too.
I love Wealthsimple.
I think it's an amazing app. I love using it, like everything. I don't like this at all.
Especially after they gave you that free MacBook.
Especially after they gave me the free MacBook.
It was not free.
I freaking love it.
No, it was not free.
What do you mean it wasn't free? It was absolutely free. I didn't pay for it.
Well, Luke is saying
Anyway,
it's not
this is-
free
yeah.
because you had to move money. Whatever.
Yeah, I mean, the lockup period for that was 1 year for the money.
That's actually, honestly, like in hindsight, great deal.
Great deal.
Great deal.
No, I think I don't have much of an issue. I think with like betting apps and things like that. Gambling overall. I'm not saying it should be outlawed or anything like that, but because it's gambling, there's clear regulations and restrictions in place, right? This whole prediction market trend crap is a little dangerous because the whole point is to circumvent a lot of these safeguards that have been in place, right? So I don't know.
In gambling.
In gambling, like
of
restrictions and like regulations, laws, all sorts of things, right? You don't have that with prediction markets. So I don't know. I'm not a big fan of prediction markets. Wealthsimple, I understand what you guys are trying to do, but I don't know. I don't like this. I think gambling is already such a problem with young men, and prediction markets make it easier to do that. It's kind of like, cigarettes were already a problem, and then we introduced vapes.
That's actually a really good example. I like that because I think one of the things that's a little bit nefarious about prediction markets is the way it's branded. Right, like they're branded completely differently from the sports bettors. Sports betting, like traditionally, when you look at like the way it's marketed, it's very value focused. It's like, oh, you get all this free stuff, or like it's very much like join in on the action. It's like, oh, like excitement, right? But prediction markets, it actually brands it as intelligent. I don't know if you see like the Poly Market or the Kalshi advertisement. It's very much like, oh, like get in on the data. Like,
You're a trader. You're an investor.
Like you're like a visionary. You're thinking about like things differently than people. That's your edge. You know what I mean? But in reality, it's kind of the same thing. Like, you know what I mean? Like it is.
Pound for pound, it's the same
I view it personally very similarly to gambling. Like I don't think there's much difference between betting on the outcome of a sports game in comparison to betting on a prediction market. That's my perspective.
There isn't. I really don't think
Unless
there
you're
is
an insider trader.
Insider trading is one of the issues. Okay, I have two things. One, I agree with you guys. Okay, it does, like there's something a little nefarious and something that needs, like there's
Sinister.
the line. Yeah, well, I won't use the word sinister because it has a lot of connotation. Even the word nefarious is not the best. I think there's a line that's being blurred that brings with it some discomfort from just the general audience. So I totally agree with that, and I think that needs to be cleared up. I think number two, though, is there is utility in prediction markets. Okay, I don't know what the utility in gambling is and sports betting is. If there is, let me know. But there's absolutely utility in prediction markets. One, because it's not just like sports gambling is the biggest because that's the most defined part of it. And that's like, people don't have to be super creative to form those predictions because yes, Kalshi, I don't know that, and correct me if I'm wrong, but from what I understand, we as users have to be the ones to actually create the predictions and then price them. I don't know that.
I think it's a mix. I think they have like standard ones, and then you can submit, and then I think, and I don't know exactly, but this is my basic rudimentary understanding. If enough people jump on this submission, then it will be available to the public market.
Okay, got it. So I'm not sure what the mix is, but I do know users are allowed to create it. I do think so I said there's a lot of utility. I think there's just a lot. I like it for the utility that it has because I think one of the things that we do as human beings that makes us great is we're always looking for patterns. and we're always trying to predict, right? Like, I mean, think about the three of us. I give you, well, mainly me and Luke, because me and Luke are the ones that always do this. We get into big arguments about subjective things that will never be able to get settled, and then we end up with let's make a bet. Let's make a bet.
We have like 7 calendar invites for like 10 years from now.
You know what I mean?
we do.
Like, think just amongst us, like we create a bet and we're like, okay, let's go, and I would. It's funny because that's a great way to resolve arguments where we're like. We're just going to talk around in circles. And if you think about it, what usually happens is a lot of times, once we make the bet, that conversation dies. And when it's very clear one person's losing or has lost, like, you know, it becomes very interesting where, like, you know, think about it where it's like, oh, we created this bet 10 years in advance and something can track, you know, the ebbs and flows where Luke is winning the bet by like 40 to 30%. Or Delapo's like switches it up. Luke, what's going on? Your face is saying a lot.
This is such a wild response.
I can't read. What's the question that you asked?
So I Googled, can you make your own predictions on Kalshi? And Gemini responded in the AI overviews with, as an AI, I cannot make my own predictions or trade on Kalshi.
Yeah, like
because it seems.
But that's not the intent of my
search. It thinks you're making
asking it to.
Is it possible instead of can you?
Yeah.
Is it possible to blank?
But yeah, so that was one thing. And then in terms of the utility, I'm starting to see stuff about AI LLMs being trained on prediction markets, and I think that would be so cool.
No, but actually, it says here, at least on Kalshi, you can't make your own predictions. You can make different predictions on existing contracts, but you cannot create the contracts.
Oh, okay.
At least on Kalshi, I don't know if that's the same on Polymarket. Like, none of us are users, obviously, because we don't like.
I have a Polymarket account, but I never used it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so if you can't create your own, so Polymarket you can.
No, so you can't create. You can create your own takes on existing predictions, but you cannot create your own predictions.
So like offshoots.
So for example, if someone's like, okay, like by the end of 2026, like I don't know, Trump will no longer be president. Like you could basically say like, I think that like in November this will happen, but you can't be like, oh, I'm gonna bake the bet like by 2027. Does that make sense?
Oh, okay.
Like you can only put your own like at least that's what.
As long as you don't negate the original prediction,
yes,
you can make modifications.
But you cannot create those contracts yourself.
It's like
who creates contracts?
I'm assuming
the platform,
they have a team that does it.
Oh, only them.
We'll look a little bit more into it.
Yeah, we'll look a little bit more. But let me.
There's only one other party that can make them.
But I only bring that up because I didn't want you to go through this whole thing of like the utility of it, and it's like it actually ends up not being a feature because then that would
that would
defeat that.
Yeah, but the utility of it is not in only in the custom predictions. The utility of it is in the information gathering and the data gathering, the way that you say about how people actually behave. Because what happens with these prediction markets, the same way we settle our arguments with bets, is because they're about very subjective things, very nuanced things that don't have like extremely objective answers, like, or it's not easy pre-events happening. It's not easy to figure out like what those answers are gonna be. If that makes sense. It's not like a math equation where 2 plus 2 is always going to be equal to 4 when you add when you add 2 and 2 together. This is prediction markets are for, hey, we know 2 plus 2 is equal to something, but what is that supposed to be? Which is a lot of our human problems, right? And that just the ebbs and flows of what, like, what was Mamdani saying, and that 99.6%, that was what they were gonna lose, but there was 0.4, and they ended up winning, and it's like that's an outcome, and that's a data point. It's an outlier, I imagine, and being able to gather all that information. So 1 for AI training, and then 2 for hedging other stuff. So there was a story, and I think I told you about this, which I found extremely interesting. In New York again, is because of the Knicks going into the finals, there was a lot of restaurateurs that were doing deals. About like every time, and they do this in Air
Toronto,
anytime like a free throw, if you make 20 free throws, like free pizza for everybody. And so bars were doing that where if the Knicks score like 60 to 70 points, then a free beer for everyone in the restaurant or something like that, right? That's a way to get people in where it's like, oh, my Knicks, like they're gonna get that. But what the bar owners were doing was obviously, depending on how many people you get, if you end up giving free
Oh,
beer,
so they were looking at poly markets, or is that what you're
they
saying?
were hedging. So basically, there's a lot you can lose a lot of money giving a lot of free beers if the Knicks do
funny.
that.
But let me ask.
I'm just giving the example, right? And so what they were doing was they were hedging where, okay, so if the Knicks do hit, like,
they get paid out.
They get paid out from Kalshi to help
to offset the beers that they're
gonna do.
Okay, this is a great point. It's a great story, right? But I don't see much more utility versus a standard betting app. Like, you can still bet the over, and you can still offer that same promotion with a FanDuel.
So that's a great question, and I love that you asked that. So that was limited only to the sports.
Yep.
So I just went out for dinner this past Friday with some friends, and I went to a local small business with a Brazilian owner where he makes feijoada. Try feijoada if you haven't. It's a Brazilian meal. It tastes beautiful. And he uses a lot of pork parts.
Yep.
A bunch of pork parts that people traditionally have disregarded. I think I was telling you the history where it was like slave food, and because they're becoming delicacies now, the price is going up. And he was talking about how, he's not a upper class restaurant where when the prices of his inputs go up, the prices of his menu item can go up as well equivalently. He's like, my customers revolt and do all of that, and he's like, his margins are getting squeezed. And in my head, not in my head actually, the first thing I said was like, what if you could hedge against those commodity prices? Because you're talking to a lot of local butchers, right? And I can imagine, there's a lot of stuff there. So my whole thing is, how would he hedge against the price of like pig ears
you bet on
chicken
the price
hearts
hitting a certain,
right? Because you as a restaurant owner, like, not many people are gonna know you don't know what the price of chicken hearts are. I'm just giving an example.
I can ask the same question though, because why can't he just buy agriculture futures?
He can.
Farming futures.
He can.
Why do we need to introduce something that is exasperating the gambling issue within our demographic in order to get this utility you talk about that already exists in other forms?
I want to take a step back because
I totally agree with you. I think the gap between, hey, this exists and you can do this, is the same way, we always had the answers to everything on the internet, but not everybody was going to go search or going into the library to get it. I think Kalshi is just making it accessible where like a basic guy can just go in and say, I think the price of pig heart or chicken feet or liver is gonna go up to and then hedge. I'm giving an example.
No, I hear you, and you're speaking it well, I think, and it's making sense everything you're saying.
I just want to be very clear because I feel like an argument's about to arise.
No, I don't disagree.
This is not possible.
Yeah.
Oh, it's not possible.
You can't do this.
Okay.
Because and that's why I was like, this track that you're going down, like, is based on an assumption that we're not sure of. Like, I just looked it up on Polymarket because it doesn't exist, and you can't just go and like put that up, right?
Okay, well then,
because the whole point there is like, and that does actually make sense because when you think about it, like, what's stopping me from putting something on Polymarkets that's like, Luke Liu at this job specifically is tomorrow gonna go and eat like 60 burritos? That's completely within my range of control. Like, if you really open it up so that you can bet on anything, you can basically, and this was like the whole like,
that was the whole like
yeah.
Well,
like
I was gonna say the Venezuela thing actually.
Oh,
you
yeah,
like
like
the like the Maduro guy, like the soldier was
people on
caught
the team,
of using like betting on Polymarket, but he was the soldier who went and captured him.
Yeah.
Because to your point, that is utility.
So
right?
they could do that before then.
Well, that was already available. That was like Maduro is a big popular name. Like he was on Polymarket. Yeah. This guy just is an opportunist. He took the opportunity.
Yeah, but sorry,
I think to your point, if that type of utility did exist and maybe there was more control around that, people would have different opinions about prediction markets. But like the reason we speak about prediction markets in this way is like they are thought of as that, right? And I do like the way that you guys were talking about this in the sense of like the way it was originally brought up, where you're right. Like some young men see sports betting and gambling as actual financial investments.
Yes,
like a revenue stream. They look at it like a revenue stream.
As a way to make money.
As a way to make money.
And I want to be very clear, like none of us think like this, but like it was actually for me too. It was shocking to actually understand, like, because I at first, like, I've met people who said stuff like that, like jokingly, right? Like they're like, oh, like I'm like, oh, I'm gonna like be rich after I hit this fucking like 18 leg parlay, right? Totally as a joke. But then like you meet some other guys, dude. Like I don't even think I told you guys this, but at my cottage last winter, I was catching up with Will, a good friend, and we were talking about this other guy that we knew from high school, and I remember him as like super smart kid. And if any of the listeners are watching this and they're like Asians, especially if you're like Chinese or Filipino, gambling is a really big problem in the Asian community. It's like probably our number one addiction beyond alcoholism. Like
why is Arya dying?
No, it's because you just specifically called out like
Chinese
the
and Filipinos are like pretty degenerate.
Like, Japanese you guys are the worst. You guys.
Japanese too. Chinese are the worst. Chinese are the worst by far. Like I want to be clear about that.
No, didn't you say Tibetans like gamble pretty hard?
Yeah, but we can get a bit controversial if we get too deep into that.
I'm kidding.
Because whether or not the region of Tibet is recognized as its own like separate country is like a topic in China. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
But I guess the root of this guy that I knew from high school, super smart kid, and dude, like Will was telling me, apparently like this he has this new group of friends and they all just like fucking go to a sports bet, and like what he'll do is like people can't invite him over anymore because he'll come to your house and steal shit and pawn it and take that money and put it into sports betting.
It's a disease.
Like they'll do this as a group. Like they'll try to get invited to parties and do stuff like that. Bro, like the horror on my
Scarborough?
Yeah, hearing about this, I was like, bro, I invite, like, our home is pretty open. We just get, I was like, now I'm thinking like that remote we lost, was it like a degenerate gambler that pawned it? Anyway, this dumb joke. But all I'm saying is like, this person was able to like go from his very like healthy
That was a
career
random
path.
guy we didn't know you let into our house.
But you know what I mean? Like, like all I'm saying
you knew him
is,
for all of what, 3 months? Are you
No, it had been over a year. It had been over a year.
Trusted him over me?
It had been. I was working with him.
Okay, and you've been living with me.
I think. Well, how long were we living together when that happened?
a year at least.
Yeah.
A year at least.
You know what I realized, by the way? We said it on the podcast. This is a small tangent, but last time when we were on the podcast, we said we've been living together for 3 years. Actually, I think all of us completely erased 1 year. We've been living together for 4 years.
Yeah, for no, as of September.
As of September, will be 4 years. Yeah. Anyways, sorry,
fine.
but yeah, I hear you. It's a disease. It's like it's an addiction. That's why there's Gambling Addicts Anonymous. You know, there's groups for this because it is an actual serious problem, and this is just going the opposite way of a solution. I think.
I agree.
Things like prediction markets.
Generally speaking, yeah.
I said I started this whole thing. I don't mind gambling. I gamble from time to time, right?
Right,
Like
we all
do.
gamble.
We play poker together.
Yeah,
everyone like
I
on
play
big
fantasy.
games. Yeah, we play fantasy.
I also sports, like I won't sports. I don't have a sports betting account, but like I'll indulge
Every
like,
now and then,
now
we've done
and
it
then.
together.
we
You know,
all
I pulled up
gamble.
my FanDuel, we've done it. You know,
Yeah,
what I
yeah,
mean?
absolutely.
So I don't mind these, but there's serious safeguards for each of these.
Yeah.
There's warnings, right? And there's a certain level of responsibility that you as the user take on when you're using a sports betting app.
Yeah.
Right? That responsibility, I think, is skirted with prediction market apps.
And
I think it's purposely done that way. It's purposely done to be like, this is not betting because we don't want to be regulated like that, and we want people to be able to bet without calling it betting. It's just the whole thing is sneaky and underhanded.
Yeah, but like I feel like there's a whole lot of other things that prediction markets do, or like that's outside of sports.
No, but I'm just saying, like, the way the platform is currently deployed is very akin to it, right? Like,
Fair.
in the way that one, and I think what me and Ari are really like trying to get to is the way
'Cause
it's
I
branded.
agree.
I think is the real nefarious point, because I think like let's just be abundantly clear. You can be addicted to gambling knowing that you're wasting your money.
Yes.
Like when you look at Asia, the biggest thing in Japan and stuff is stuff like gachas. You're not even actually getting money. You're getting a collectible. And even then people can fall into that type of like gambling addiction, right?
Yeah.
The nefarious part about Polymarket is it isn't telling you you're getting a chip or a collectible. It's like you are a smart person, and because you're a smart person who can foresee certain things that other people can't, you will get paid out for it. It's not really that. You talked about poker earlier. That could be like an example that I think people can get a little bit misconstrued, because there are professional poker players, right? Like there are people who actually make a living.
I know one person
Aren't
who
those
does that.
gambling addicts too?
They are too, but I think the difference is just what they're doing because if you talk to an actual professional poker player, they understand that they're playing the game in the person. They're not like, it's like, you know what I mean? You talk to someone who like is doing poly markets and things like that. It's a little bit of like a different perspective. And I think the last thing I wanted to say, at least on my end, on the gambling side, because I think the reason we brought this up is like next episode, one of the things we wanted to chat about is like some of the healthier ways that we perceive like balancing our finances, etc. is I just have this general feeling that when people do prediction markets and win, it is like the worst thing that can happen. Because when someone wins a sports bet, I don't think it's the same effect. I just think like there's a compounding there. Like if you're betting on, for example, like Brexit or something, and you like are successful in that bet, I feel like the compounding effect that has on you is different from like you're like, oh, the Spurs are going to score 47 tonight.
It's a rush.
Does that make sense? Like
I agree with you 100%. But like I think what Luke is trying to say in other words, I guess, if I want to make sure I understand it properly, right? Because there is a rush that you get when you win. And it was funny. I say it's funny. Things are not always funny. But there was a video that I saw of this girl whose boyfriend killed himself. He was a day trader. Killed himself.
This is good.
Because
it's not good that he killed himself.
No, but the comparison. Yeah, you like where it's going.
Okay.
Because she's, cause there's a huge thing right now about on the internet where guys just really want to be day traders. There's a huge thing.
Absolutely.
And there's a bunch of fake accounts on the internet that are saying, "Oh, I made this much money. Come and follow me. Copy my thing."
Absolutely.
That is not materially different than betting or prediction markets, right? The way that's happening. There are professionals out there. They work for large financial institutions and hedge funds. They have tools and they study it and they do it as their job, right? More importantly, they don't leverage their entire house for it. Those are professionals. We'll put them aside for a second. They're not part of this conversation. Who's a part of this conversation?
But they do use Kalshi and Polymarket.
What,
Day
the
traders?
hedge fund guys?
Yeah,
I mean, like as part of their overall signal gathering, sure, yeah, I get that, but they're not relying on it, right?
No one is relying on anything.
Well, a lot of losers are.
Okay, yeah, but like that's not.
And
okay,
that's the problem. That's where it's becoming a problem, right? Because people don't have like you just there's a lot of ways that we can take advantage and hedge and do all these things. Not everyone's going to do it, right? People are going to see what's easy and in front of them. They're going to see a platform like this. They're going to say, oh, there's a 91% chance of this happening. Buy, you know what I mean? Whatever it might be. To wrap up that story, yeah, the way that she described it, because I want to more so speak to Luke's point. The way that she described it was, you look at trading and investing and day trading, all these things. These guys win once, they get the rush, and then every time they don't win, all they are doing is chasing that initial feeling, and that's what you're talking about here.
And there's like
you're chasing a feeling over and over again. That's when it's a problem.
And I think the other problem is with the day trading and the prediction markets, that's not, this is just my opinion, that I don't think is the same with the sports betting, is there is not only the financial validation, but there's also an intellectual validation. I think like when you make a winning trade or a winning prediction, there's like, whoa, that person's like very intelligent, or that person's very like wise. Whereas
I think
like
it's the exact same thing with sports betting, by the way. Sorry.
I maybe, but like
it's a little bit more Neanderthalic, just because it's guys and doing guy shit, but it's the same vein. It's the same vein.
Like, I think we just perceive it that way, but like in Silicon Valley, when Silicon Valley was like starting up, like in the early 2010s, like
sports trading,
like sports apps, fantasy apps, those were like one of the number one most accessible student machine learning use case ever. Like being able to take sports data and like being able to crunch it. Like think about how sports have become super analytics driven right now. Moneyball, like it's the same. And I want to piggyback off your point where, guys, like I agree with you.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I just want to inject a little bit more nuance. I don't want to regurgitate, in my opinion, just like the stated narrative that it's betting. Like I think it's bad. Like the way like I said, it's not bad. There's elements of it that are really, really negative that I think is very uncomfortable. Like I said, there's a line that's being blurred. We are all aware because it's a shared feeling, right? It might not be as explicit, but it's a shared feeling that we're all like, hey, like we're heading towards something, and what we're heading towards like can have really bad side effects. And I think there's a shared acknowledgement of that, and I'm not going to dismiss that. I think what I just want to add as a perspective that we can hold at the same time as we hold that is there is actual good and utility that's being provided here. Like at the end of the day, like investing in day trading, because that's how this is being regulated as, right? It's the same, it's very similar. It's the same thing why I will never day trade. It's the same reason why I would never touch stock options.
Sure.
Because I'm like, that's like essentially gambling, right? And there is, like you mentioned, there's a whole culture around that right now. Like at the end of the day, does that mean I should never invest? Does that mean I should never put money in the stock market? Some people do take it that way. And I know we've had conversations about some people that you know, and they're like, hey, like, putting money, I'm not going to mention any names, but putting money in the stock market is as good as gambling. I'd rather buy real estate. Do you get what I mean? Like, that's like, at the end of the day, like, you know, it just, that's because those people can't have a nuanced view on what's happening. And that's where I don't want us, because prediction markets are used for completely other, like, things that are not sports betting at the end of the day. And the way it's being positioned, like, Wealthsimple could go on Bet365 or do a partnership with The Score, but they're not. Wealthsimple is an investment platform, and they're doing the partnership with Kalshi, right? Like, my whole point is there is actual investment and utility, and they are actually looking to not necessarily like, at least I don't know what Kalshi is doing. At least we can talk. We brought this up because we're in Canada and it's Wealthsimple. Yeah. They're targeting people that use Wealthsimple who at some, like, you know, these are people that
are like us. They're young guys,
young guys. But what I'm trying to say is people that are aware of investments and hopefully are aware of, like, you know, like understanding how to make predictions. Because at the end of the day, making predictions is, I was saying, like, that's like a core part of us, like being able to, ooh, Luke is going to do this. Ooh, I know what Luke's going to do. Like, that's a core part of us in humans. Like, we're always looking for patterns. We're always looking for that. And in that as well, there's like a lot of good things. It is a marker of intelligence. Someone that gets their predictions right more often than they get it wrong, it is a marker of intelligence, right? Okay, like the finance guys are using it, like, you know, for Fed rate decisions, for Maduro capture, how this is like election results. Like, I mean, I remember for the elections, I don't remember which elections, but we were
having a whole argument about this with Polymarket.
Yeah, sorry.
This was like during the Canadian election.
I think it was during the Canadian election. Sorry.
One or the other. But we were comparing it to the effectiveness of polling.
And I was saying, and my argument was, hey, let's watch these prediction markets. I feel like
this is very true.
They'll be as accurate, if not more accurate, than polling. You were going against me, and at the end of the day,
the markets were more accurate.
The prediction markets were more accurate. I'm just saying, I completely understand. It's a shared feeling of discomfort. We understand that, like, we're barreling towards something that could be a can of worms. And this could be like the social media conversation, where we can acknowledge that influencers and creators are a whole new economy that's been created, $1 billion economy that's been created off of social media. And our kids are also having a mental health pandemic or a mental health crisis at the same time. I'm just giving an example of something
you're giving a more nuanced take, and I think,
and that's where I just wanted, because when I started, I was like, hey, like, I totally agree with that. I just wanted to add this nuance, and I kind of got a bit in the rabbit hole of trying to argue against it, but I don't want to argue against it, and I totally agree. I don't like the sports betting, and maybe the solution is, like, keep sports betting off of prediction markets and keep it to sports betting. I don't know if that's the solution. I just want to create room for a more nuanced perspective on prediction markets, because with this, being completely honest, I probably will create an account and will use the prediction markets, because, hey, I said,
as a Wealthsimple user.
Yeah, as a Wealthsimple user, like me, like I was saying, like, there's a lot. I'm an idiot. You guys know. You guys live with me. I tend to believe in certain things, and I'm gonna put $50 on, like, a stupid international geopolitical thing. Like, you know, like the Iran, like, we had a argument on if Iran was going to get bombed the other day. And I was vehemently, I was like, no, like, this ceasefire.
Is this MOU going to withstand until the agreement?
Exactly. Is this MOU? And Arya was like, no. And, like, I was arguing, and, like, we couldn't have concluded that argument, but it would have been great if you're like, hey, you want to put $20 on, like, you know, Kalshi? And I'll be like, actually, you know what?
Yeah, because in that case, what's the difference between you and I saying, hey, $20 just between the two of us? I get that.
Nothing.
Right?
Wait, just to clarify, that is not possible. So like the way you're talking, again, like I just want to be very careful about that, because the way you're talking about this platform, that's not the way it is. That's not actually the way it is. And if it was, I would have a different opinion about it. I just want to clarify that.
I would look if there was like an Iran MOU.
Sure.
Like contract.
There. First of all, there is.
Yeah, I'm very sure
the Iran one. Yeah, that's
major
good
political
example,
things. There's like one for almost anything you can think of. It's just these super niche ones. Can't create your own.
Yeah.
Right.
I do want to take a step back in one sense, and I want to ask you a question. So I can acknowledge maybe your fundamental argument of, look, you can lose a lot of money on sports betting or poly market. That's perceived a certain way. You can also lose a ton of money investing through the stock market or real estate or gold, like, or any sort of traditional investment opportunity that's seen as more safe.
Anywhere you're trying to predict the behavior of something.
Anytime you're exchanging goods for value, you can lose money. I think that's your core point. And it's like, it's the same on poly markets versus the stock market versus sports betting. And it's like you can't just be like, well, because you can lose money on poly markets is negative, because you can also do it on these other platforms. I get that. My question for you is, what is the purpose of the stock market? Just like try to answer that in a simple way, like, because I feel like this can go really
access to capital.
Absolutely, I think
access to capital. Okay, and what is the purpose of poly markets as a company?
Access to information and data, I believe.
Do you think that?
Alternative information and data.
What is poly market as a company's primary objective?
We don't know. Like, I don't know. Should we Google it?
Would you not say?
He searched it up.
Would you not say poly market as a private company's objective is probably to make money?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Is the stock market's base objective to make money?
Yeah.
No, it's I would
say the objective of everyone participating in the stock market is to make money. That is, the objective of the stock market is like a global exchange.
Is to allow the facilitation of funds and to allow the exchange of investments.
No, I'm not going to let you get off.
No, let me get this off, because the way that you were describing the markets, that is the way the stock market is. That is not the way poly markets is. Poly markets is a private company, right? A private company is different from
then you don't compare it to the stock market. You compare it to NYSE or you compare it to NASDAQ.
Fair enough.
And the goal of those guys is to make money. It's the same thing with the SpaceX. Like, you get what I mean?
And that's a great comparison, right? And if you were to compare it to NYSE or S&P or the Hong Kong index, guess what? Out of those players, there's winners and there's massive losers, right? There are indexes that we don't even know of that have lost consistently. And it could be fair to say poly markets is one of those. And by the way, if I were to ask you, is it wise to invest in one of those indexes that lost tons of money over the last 10 years? You would probably say no, right? That's the only thing I want to highlight. They're two fundamentally different things, and they serve different purposes. And as people who are very first principle based people, I think that's a really important factor.
I don't understand what you're saying, because there's investing in the company.
You're saying
and there's a company. Wait. Let me clarify what I don't understand. There's investing in a company, and there's a company creating access to a market.
Yeah.
Right. Poly market is a company that creates access to a market. The NYSE is a company that creates access to a market. So, like, I'm not investing in poly market the same way I'm not investing in NYSE. But if I participate in the stock market, I'm participating through NASDAQ or NYSE. If I participate in a prediction market, I'm participating through poly market and what's it called? Kalshi.
Yeah, but as
the same way, like the money. Let me finish. Yeah. The money that's made is going to the person that made the correct bet, and just like the stock market is going to take a percentage of, like, you know, for being the venue, is the same way poly market is going to take a percentage. Well, so they're incentivized. Both markets are incentivized the same way. Their goal is to get as many people creating contracts or as many people listing stocks, and even more people making predictions on those contracts, and more people buying and selling those stocks. So, like, I'm confused where you're trying to, like, you know, delineate between the incentives of poly market versus the stock market.
I don't think, by the way, I think there's an argument, there's a conversation to be had about whether you can compare poly market to NYSE or S&P or like one of these other indexes. But I think the point I was trying to make earlier is, if you bring poly markets into a conversation about a facilitator, right? Then it becomes a conversation about what assets and what facilitators are better than others.
Yes.
And I'm saying in that conversation, there are facilitators that are worse, right? And if I were to ask you, would it be wise to invest in those facilitators? You would say no.
Absolutely.
And my point is, on that same vein, if I am identifying poly markets as a worse facilitator, it then becomes unwise to invest in it. And this is ultimately what we're talking about, right? Like building wealth. We're not talking about decisions to transact money or whether or not like a company can execute that transaction. It's about the output of that transaction, right? So I think the only thing I wanted to like just really highlight there is, to me, and I think you disagree with this, the stock market to me is a way for people to be able to generate transactions for certain types of assets, like there are companies, et cetera.
Yeah.
And poly market, you see it as more of like, hey, they're trying to do the same thing. I actually don't see it that way. I think they're a private company trying to make money. That's honestly the way I perceive poly market and Kalshi. Like I actually don't see it as a facilitator. And I say as that primary reason, that's why we disagree. Like I don't see them as the same things at all. Yeah. Does that make sense?
The nuance here, I think, is when it comes to poly market and Kalshi, we just determined that they're making their own lines, right? They're making their own scenarios. They have a team of analysts, and they can make as many of them as they want on a moment's notice. The stock market doesn't really work like that. No. You get what I mean? The stock market relies on the public to create good businesses that generate revenue and that have an interest and can succeed long term. Most of poly market bets are short-term bets, by the way, right? So the flow of funds are going to be a lot quicker. There's a lot of fundamental differences that I can't say they're one and one.
No, they're not.
To Luke's facilitator argument, right? A stock market is a facilitator because they are not creating the companies that they're listing, right?
Yeah.
They are receiving applications, in fact, and sifting through the best ones and offering it to the public via IPOs that everyone can participate in. They're heavily vetted, highly regulated. Not just anyone can do it. Prediction markets don't work like that. You know what I mean? They don't. I get what you're saying. There's value in your argument in the sense of there is data. Like to kind of do the same thing, I guess. I actually I agree with you. Funny enough, no matter how much I dislike prediction markets, because my dislike of prediction markets is not based on the value that they can provide.
No,
it's based on the way that they're being presented to the public, and the fact that we are literally facing an epidemic amongst guys like us.
I totally agree.
And their relationship with money. It's incredibly unhealthy. And this is making it more unhealthy because it's not really regulated. It's not talked about in a responsible way. And nobody seems to really care about that, So I don't think I would go as far as to say, oh, it's like one-on-one with the stock market and therefore the value is the same. I agree with your value argument. It is nuanced. I guess it's shadowed by the negative impact that the way it's being presented to the market. I think that's the way that I see it.
I totally agree with that. And then I think one clarification, and then I'm going to put both of you on the spot here. My clarification is it's not one-on-one with the stock market. I just wanted to make that the comparison where the stock market is a market, prediction markets are a market, and then poly market and ICE, like Intercontinental Exchange and NASDAQ, are companies that give you access. They're exchanges that give you access to those markets. And in that sense, I was saying their incentives are a little bit aligned there, where in terms of how they operate. So that was the clarification there. Now, my question to you guys is, how would you, if prediction markets were to exist, then how would you brand them or how would you communicate it to the world?
I think the way I would see it is closer to sports betting, honestly. But you know what? The one very important nuance I want to add is if what you were describing was possible, I think then it becomes different. It becomes much more closer to the stock market because then it becomes how earlier you were talking about creating that contract? That is the same as us basically submitting a company into the NASDAQ, right? That is a consumer making something, and if there's enough buy-in, it becomes a notable thing. I think that. And in all honesty, the preliminary searches said that was not possible. Maybe there is some sort of internal mechanism where that is, right? And I'm not aware of that, so I'm thinking about it a certain way. But I think the way it's currently being presented, that is kind of the issue because, and again, I really don't want to ignore this point. I think it is the branding of this and people, prediction markets specifically positioning themselves as the branding is very, very akin to crypto.
So we get why it's bad. Yeah. I'm asking how you would brand it. So you're saying just the betting app.
Yeah, just making it more gamified, making it more of a social thing. And I think one important thing we didn't say earlier is like the way we view gambling is always through a social lens. There's not a single time where the three of us are gambling and it's not because of like a social reason. You know what I mean? We're betting on a game because it makes the game more fun to watch as a group. We're playing poker to catch up with each other and have conversations, and then we put some money on the line.
At least us, yes.
At least us, right? Like
we're not looking at it as a source of income.
And if Kalshi was like that too, where it's like through a social lens, I think it becomes more fun because the win isn't treated as that dopamine hit. It's not like, whoa, you're intelligent and you guessed something. It's like no, we're having fun. We're kind of putting our opinions against each other, and then like, oh, you won, awesome. Maybe I win next time, right? Like people don't think of it as like this core investment criteria sort of thing.
That's good. I like that.
I generally agree. I only have one point. I don't care how it's marketed, visually, blah, 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 this, that, and the other. I think I would just prefer if we stopped, and not us, I'm just saying as a society, if we stop vehemently denying the parallel with gambling. I think if we stop denying that, if Kalshi and Polymarket stop saying this is not betting, this is prediction market, this is different.
Well, they have to.
Why do they have to? Because they're trying to avoid certain regulations that are in place. That's the whole problem. That's the whole problem I have with it fundamentally. Color it whatever you want. Call it whatever you want. Make whatever tagline you want. But when someone says, oh, this is like betting, don't say, no, it's not betting. You know what I mean? Like, don't insult my intelligence.
What if it's not?
It is.
No, it is betting, but okay.
I kind of get what you're saying, where it's like sometimes we take a kind of messed up thing and we rebrand it as something different, and then that becomes accessible.
Yeah.
And it's like it does like culturally live on as like a separate thing. Like that does happen. I can't think of an example like off the top.
Yeah, no, I guess my whole thing is I understand what gambling is. I understand what betting is. I guess is what Kalshi. If Kalshi and Polymarket were to be MGM, would they be able to do exactly what they're doing right now? I guess that would be the test.
They would need extra regulations and safeguards in place.
If they were able to get all of that,
why wouldn't they?
I don't know that they would be able to do stuff on hormones or
they would need data. They would need data to back it up. That's it. And there's not a lot of data for a lot of these things. That's the thing.
Yeah. Well, so do you get what I'm saying? Because MGM is not. Like
I don't think it's the data.
MGM. I don't know if it's the data or anything.
No, it's the lines that they create, right? Like when you're creating like a betting line, and there's favorites and there's odds. That's all based on data, right? Polymarket, it's not based on data. It's based on how many people think this is going to happen. That's it. That's
but what
the
about
only
like
data
a slot machine? Like a slot machine is statistically known to like hit like 0.1% of the time. That's allowed to exist.
Yeah, no, we're talking about betting markets in the sense of like lines being created for sports, right? Because that's the value that like Vegas brings to the betting market.
But that's not what I'm talking about. I'm saying if you're saying they're betting and like they should just be that, and I'm like, fair enough. The test to that is can MGM today or Bet365 or BetDog, what was the name of that dog?
FanDuel or something.
FanDuel, can they do exactly what Polymarket and Kalshi are doing right now with all their licenses? Can they include, because they already have the sports betting down, then like it should be easy for them because all they need to do is include all these other things.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I think the licensing requires a certain level of data collection and algorithmic proof to creating these lines. You can't just create things, and it's regulated so that you can't just create things.
Okay,
that's the whole thing, right? I don't know. You can verify that.
We will look into this and we'll come back because I actually that is a good question because I think your question is like. It's kind of like the whole thing of, remember when Wealthsimple introduced all this stuff and they're like, why did the big banks just do this? And it's like, well, big banks don't care about this shit.
Yeah, they don't.
And they don't care about this. And it's like, you are right in the sense of like, what is stopping?
Because
it might be in there. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know the reason why.
It might be in there. I don't know. Actually,
I don't know the reason why because they could have
Best
This is a research project for next episode.
Yeah, because they could easily wipe out Polymarket and Kalshi.
That's a good point. Like we'll look into this. And we'll come back.
And to be aligned with my own argument, I would 100% be on board with them doing something like that versus a Polymarket or a Kalshi that's trying to pretend that there's something that they're not.
Yeah.
All right, so we end off with a question.
More to come. Why are casinos not getting into prediction markets?
That is
honestly it's probably the easiest and it's probably not profitable. This is probably not.
Yeah, and then
it's probably the easiest answer ever.
Casinos are just like that's
it's way like we're making way too much money doing this shit.
Yeah, that's also true.
That could be the answer.
Anyways, well, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for listening. Why don't you give us your opinions on what you think of prediction markets and what do you think Wealthsimple Predict is going to look like? And why do you think that existing betting markets don't just do what Polymarket and Kalshi is doing? Answer that. And until next time, one love.
Mwah.